Hello and welcome to Bread and Thread, a podcast about food and domestic history. I'm Liz.
Hazel. We're two people who studied archaeology together and love history.
And today we are joined by our lovely producer and also my spouse, Nick Blake.
Hello.
This is really exciting. I like podcast with Nick.
Yeah, if you listen to the other podcasts that I do, you will have heard them as Mod Not Paper on probably bad RPG ideas. So Hazel, what have you been making and or baking?
Oh, I probably have one of each actually. I made hot cross buns the other day.
Oh, nice.
It was really fun. I've been getting back into bread big time at the moment. It's so soothing, just like kneading and forcefully kneading and punching the dough. It's great.
It is a spiritual experience, isn't it?
Much, yeah. I found some very old raisins, so I hope they're okay. But I mean, I haven't expired yet. And Mary Berry's recipe is pretty good, I have to say.
I think I've heard of Mary Berry, yeah.
Mary Berry of Bake Off fame.
We've also baked.
So I've been doing that, and I'm crocheting this gigantic lacy thing.
You
which
do lean
is gonna
towards
be good. So
you do lean towards the gigantic lacy thing.
I do, yeah. I have a kind of a thing for massive projects, which doesn't go well with my tendency to not finish things. But it's fun, it's absorbing. What about you?
So about a week ago from time of recording, or about 3 weeks from when this episode will go up, it was our first anniversary.
Yeah.
So we made for our wedding, I made, with Nick's help, but largely I made a 3-tier raspberry and white chocolate cake.
Oh my goodness.
Which you probably remember.
Yeah, is it the same one that was your wedding cake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can confirm it was delicious.
So for our anniversary, I just made like a little 2-person raspberry and white chocolate cake.
Because marriage is a cake you bake together.
It is.
Oh.
I was hoping you'd cringe at that, but no, we're being sincere.
This is
mixing
this up. The other podcast is the bad one. This one's sincere.
Yeah, this is an irony-free zone.
But
this is the wholesome area, Nick.
But I'm also very excited because ages ago I went to Affleck's Palace in Manchester, and they have this little like creation space. And one of the things they had was a reversible crocheted chameleon.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that.
And I have obtained the book that pattern is from. It's Crocheted Wild Animals by Vanessa Moonsea. I'm very excited to make this chameleon. Technically not something I've made because the book arrived at the house 4 hours ago, but I'm very excited.
Gosh, that is news of epic proportions.
I will probably be doing progress pictures on my Instagram, and when it is eventually finished, I will tweet.
Do you want to maybe explain what Affleck's Palace is?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically like this 4 floors.
Yeah.
Because it goes up to the 3rd floor. 4 floors.
Maybe more. I don't know.
Independent shops of varying levels of weirdness in the hipster part of Manchester.
It's like an independent department store, yeah. But with very alternative booths.
and also just this one space that's just for being creative in, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
And very Northern Quarter, which is the part of Manchester.
It's like the department store in Carol, except with more lesbians and fewer Santa hats.
That's not an inaccurate description. So Nick, do you want to explain why we brought you in today?
Okay, well, because I make really bad life decisions, I have a master's degree in medieval and early modern studies. And one of the things being discussed today is a medieval thing. So that is one half of what I'm qualified to talk about.
The other half being punctuation. I'm not going to get into that.
No, we're not going to get into that. Basically,
You want to talk a bit louder?
yeah. Because we're going to be discussing the Forme of Cury, which may have come up in previous episodes in passing.
Is that how you pronounce it? I always wondered.
Yeah, it's spelled like curry with one R, but it is pronounced Curie.
I've been saying curry for like years.
Well,
Does
it's
it
very
contain anything curry related?
not especially. There's there's odd spices and things like that, but nothing much more potent, I'd say, than maybe some cinnamon or nutmeg.
I don't know, they've got pepper.
Yes, just so if think peppery and aromatic over spicy, and you're about there.
I'm
I'm
very
hungry now.
disappointed to report that I cannot find a cookbook named The Forme of Cury.
That is a shame. Now, like I said, I've got background in looking at medieval things, specifically medieval manuscripts, and this is a manuscript about cooking, which I'm qualified to talk about due to having a mouth. So I'm feeling very confident about this.
I think this is going to be great. I mean, I've already learned how to properly pronounce it. So I'm excited for more facts.
So I don't know how frequent this is going to be in terms of having Nick, but we're planning to basically do an episode on a person or a book or something like that every 5th episode.
So I'll be popping up if I have anything of note to say about things. Otherwise, I just kind of gesture in the background while things are recording.
I need to do the editing and the music.
Yeah,
So quite important.
I also do.
Don't sell yourself short.
And most of the transcripts.
Also that.
So what is, apart from being medieval, which is a very vague word when you think about it, covering approximately 1,000 years in Western Europe.
Yes.
What is the Forme of Cury?
The Forme of Cury is a cookbook written by the chef of Richard II. Basically,
So we're talking
14th? Yeah, 14th century. And it probably runs the gamut. There's some basic dishes. There's fancier stuff. Basically everything you need to prepare that classic high medieval banquet. Often depicted in period shows as people just grabbing and biting big legs of meat.
So it's the Knight's Tale Party.
It's the Knight's Tale Party, yes. It includes instructions on making pies and cakes and constructing a rudimentary Heath ledger.
Was Richard II known for being a particularly extravagant king? I think I remember that.
Well, I believe so. I mean, he was like Richard twice. The popular one thing that really cemented the popular perception of him was, I think, Richard II, the play by Shakespeare, which is a lot less covered, I think, than Richard III, which has better lines and far more interesting stuff going on. But yeah,
if we're not talking Tudor propaganda, he was the king during the Peasants' Revolt.
Yes,
it's probably his actual main thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversies as well over his local taxation. There was a lot of money flowing from smaller settlements into the king's coffers, which is probably part of why the peasants were pretty unhappy.
Their money was being spent on pies.
Got a
Yeah,
combination of pies and plague.
pretty much. Yeah, it's so it's interesting. It's a very much a Massacre of the Red Death situation here, of a of a very rich and powerful person having wonderful meals and everything, and big banquets while things are going south elsewhere. But the main thing that I found interesting when I was looking into this is I looked up a digitized copy of the manuscript on Luna, which is a publicly available resource provided by the University of Manchester, where you can properly look at manuscripts in
Because it
detail.
lives in the John Rylands Library, which is one of my favourite buildings.
It's an amazing neo-Gothic building.
Nick got to study in it, and I'm so jealous.
It was very good.
Forever jealous. The John Rylands is fantastic.
This beautiful Gothic, like, public library that is also full of, well,
I used to
ex-public
just go
library.
and waft around in there, like trying to be a Victorian scholar.
It's very good for that. There's a lot of it is open to the public. There's it's got some small exhibitions, things on display. You can go to the reading room and just do a bit of
If you're
quiet
listening
studying.
to this, look up a picture of the John Rylands Library reading room. It will blow your mind.
It absolutely
Yeah.
will. The ceiling is so good that sometimes when you go there, you can get because the ceiling is worth gawping at. They don't want you to strain your neck too much though, so you can get a special mirror so you can look at it without just craning upwards, which I think is lovely. But anyway, in the digitized copy, I saw this comment in the margins where it's mentioned a date for this book. It was June 1374, and then a note that it was about 234 years ago. So that gives us a point where this gives us a point where we can say 200 years later and some change, people were still looking at it. At least one person found it worthwhile.
So it's not just a question of we think it's important because it survived. It's we know people were using it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to speculate about this new owner. What's interesting is around, I think, 1600. You'd have somebody looked at this book, and it's quite possible that some of the stuff that back then would have been fancier, and just for the chef of Richard II to prepare, it might have been something that maybe not somebody just ordinary middle class would have made, but somebody who was, upper middle. This could have been a lawyer or someone just who managed to find a copy and who went, okay, I'll try some of these out. I'll be able to have access to these ingredients because the world is such a different place to before.
So it's really cool to think that these recipes were just still being used and gone back to even hundreds of years ago. Which would that make this one of the oldest sort of continually used cookbooks?
It's quite possible.
Yeah, because I think Apicius that we mentioned before is, like I said at the time, is like the second oldest cookbook, guide to recipes, whatever you want to call it. But also fell out of use because of the whole fall of the Roman Empire thing.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
And we know the Babylonian one wasn't because we forgot how to read cuneiform for a bit.
Yeah,
I
little bit.
still
I
haven't
mean,
remembered.
yeah, I mean, that's one big barrier, and it really feels like when Rome fell, eating dormouse went out the window.
What language is the Forme of Cury written in?
It's Middle English, is it?
Yeah,
So
Middle English.
Chaucer English.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically, the way I think of it is Middle English is understandable for most people most of the time if you, I guess, if you squint a little. Or I found a way of understanding it easily is to read it out loud. Then you kind of find yourself just sounding like you're speaking English with a very strange accent, and then it starts
Which
to
I mean, you do anyway, being from the West Coast.
yeah, basically yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's one of those things where like Middle English is like Welsh.
Hmm.
You look at it and it's a little bit confusing, and then you realize it's pretty easy to actually say the words, and then you get it.
yeah, absolutely. One interesting thing is because between the 1370s and 1600, you you have two different kinds of English, but they are mutually intelligible.
Conveniently, you go from Chaucer to Shakespeare.
Yeah, you go Chaucer to Shakespeare. It's like a English survey course. And this person would have been able to read it with relative ease and still be able to cook a lot of the stuff. I mean, we obviously
Took it and just wrote down the recipes they liked in their version of English. It must have happened.
it must have happened. There's a good chance. I feel this is the kind of thing where a lot of the time you are going to get people copying it in various forms, and copying bits of it in various forms, which is just how books were transmitted before the printing.
Is it possible that any of these recipes have just kind of diffused out into becoming traditional recipes? Or is it the other way around?
Well, there's an interesting example, a meal that we both particularly like that is mentioned in the Forme of Cury, which is less a meal enjoyed now, but one used in a popular phrase, humble pie.
Which I think Hazel had at my birthday a couple of years ago. With
Yes,
pie.
yes, we did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember that. It was quite good.
Yeah, so basically at this time, the word humble or humble basically referred to like general offal. Like you'd have recipes talking about things like fish humbles and chicken humbles and all these things, but this is specifically venison humbles.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that you give the servants after they've helped you hunt the deer and you eat the good stuff.
Okay.
Although there are later recipes that make a very fancy humble pie with like cloves and stuff. I think there's one from Castle Howard.
Yeah, that sounds right. One thing I find fun is in the Forme of Cury, there's it. Like this could just be a kind of spelling error, but I believe it says numbles.
Numbles is
Which to me,
which is again the same stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nickname you might.
Numbles.
That sounds like a nickname you might give your cat.
To me, it sounds like when a celebrity manages to easily get a children's book deal and they put out this substandard picture thing, meet the Numbles. They're these wacky, weird things that live in your shoes and only eat strawberry bootlaces.
I would read that though.
Yeah,
But they
that
are
sounds
not,
great.
they're hunks of flesh.
What
Oh,
isn't
look out for the new children's book coming from Bread and Thread.
If you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to subscribe on Patreon at patreon.com/bread and thread. Patreon rewards include instructional videos, recipes, and access to a Discord server where you can discuss crafts and food.
So I think I remember rightly that the person that originally published this in like the 1300s got the permission of the royal physician.
That's it.
Which like is really cool because you have this concept that we are bringing back now that was very big for like most of human history, I guess, really, of food as medicine. Especially when you look at the spices in it and you look at the four humours, you have things like mustard as a cure for colds and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's medieval clean eating, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting how that's a big trend at the moment, especially with like superfoods and things. Are there any recipes in the book that are
I
medicinal
don't think there's
in that
anything
case?
that's specifically said to be medicinal, is there? Just because
I can't think of anything. It seems to
it's
be
basically just a list of instructions.
yeah.
Well, it's not like cookbooks we have now where like each recipe has a little story.
Yeah, basically, there's a good chance that because of the way books are put together, you might just end up with the book in the same binding as some kind of medical text. But
Wait, so did people used to put multiple books together into one bigger thing?
yeah, you can do that. It's
Okay.
very
That's convenient.
it's very frequently done. So
A
there's
DIY almanac.
basically I think that the way I like to think of the medieval um, the reproduction of manuscripts and the dissemination of manuscripts is sort of like a do-it-yourself encyclopedia. You might have some scraps of Pliny, possibly, but because information was so disparate, you'd be grabbing recipe books, you'd be grabbing bits and pieces, and you'd really have to assemble it however you could.
So, thing about the sort of medieval concept of food as sort of inherently good or not good and all these different things.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking, just from what I've read about the Forme of Cury, that it does actually contain like raw fruit and vegetables, which is really weird for the time?
I believe so, yeah.
Like there's actual salads.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting how modern some of it seems, really. It's you don't think of salad at a feast
No.
because you don't with French salad.
And also the whole medieval thing of, hey, if you eat this raw fruit, you'll die.
Yeah. I think I like to give credit where it's due. You know, generally he's trying to not eat raw stuff. A good plan they got overzealous with.
Mm.
And I think that another thing that I think is impressive is talking to physicians. It's almost like a bit of legal protection to say it's all right. I've checked. You probably won't die.
And considering we had medieval kings that died from like eating too much lamprey and stuff, it's probably not the worst idea.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a concern.
Not Richard II,
for certain
but a lot of
kings.
kings of his line died because they ate some bad stuff.
I feel like that was a fairly common occupational hazard in the Middle Ages.
Well, yeah,
was
I mean,
it?
you drink some bad water once you're gone.
Yeah. So
This is why
Boy.
everyone had beer.
yeah, pretty.
We will do a different episode on beer and small beer and all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely got to.
Yeah, we absolutely should. So is there much foreign influence in the recipes? Like, I guess in terms of ingredients, you would expect in a royal court there would be exotic ones, but yeah, are the recipes themselves kind of representative of what most British people would have eaten, or are they a lot more
I'd say more
internationally
internationally
influenced?
because
When we say internationally influenced in this period, are we talking nicked from people we fought with?
yeah, broadly
Like when we like what we talked about in the Jam episode.
yeah, broadly Eurasian, and yeah, it's basically you will get nutmeg and things like that, as I said before. So you're starting to get a little bit of a broader array of things. Because at this point, this is post-Norman invasion. You've got a big connection to the mainland there, and you've had by this point continued Arabic influence um, through say Spain and through Sicily as well.
Oh, was Sicily a big center?
Yeah,
'Cause I'm only really aware of Sicily under the Romans.
in the previous century, during what's in the previous couple of centuries, Sicily was quite important as a hub of trade and culture.
I guess
So
he's got that like good spot in the med between every.
yeah, there was a king, I believe in the 12th century. I think it was Frederick II, who was like who would have these
Frederick the.
of Sicily.
Okay.
I believe he'd have birds of prey imported from Finland because he wanted to go hunting with them and hawking.
Finland.
I believe there was some kind of connection with Finland. I may be remembering it wrong, but what I'm trying to get across is there's a whole lot of trade links opening up quite widely. So I feel the Form of Cury is really representative of that, of being able to, at least if you're a noble, if you're the king, of getting quite a wide variety while other people are eating the same turnip.
So my question from that is,
Yeah.
what's the weirdest meat in the Form of Cury? There's got to be some wild.
Well, you've got whale, crane, curlew, heroin, seal,
They were pre-heroin.
and porpoise. So, I think I was talking about encyclopedias earlier. That's basically, yeah.
I feel like those are some status foods. I mean, who
Yeah, I
would
feel
want
like
to
there's
eat
not
a
a lot of
heron
meat
unless it was to show
on a
off?
couple of those birds.
It's basically you're getting a natural history course, level courses.
Like Charles Darwin. He
Yeah.
ate pretty much everything that he came across.
Yeah, didn't they like take on board several and like, none
Yeah.
of them made it
Well, at
back
least he
because
taught
they
us a
just
lot.
ate them?
So we know what the weirdest meats are, but what's just the most spectacular thing? Because this is the era of you skin the peacock, you cook the peacock, you put the skin back on to serve it kind of deals. Did they have any sort of centerpieces and showstoppers?
But one thing I found interesting is you'd get actual kind of sculptures brought out of things.
Food art.
Yeah, essentially. I'm not sure how much of it would actually be edible, but probably about as edible as candy corn.
Candy.
It's kind of like those amazing showpiece cakes today that are like half made of
Yeah.
foam.
But I guess they're even more extravagant because sugar in the 14th century. Because I'm assuming that these
Yeah.
were sort of sparkly sugar sculpture cakes.
Yeah, you'd get scenes like towers and birds and things like that. As it's basically a way to announce, hey, guess what? The banquet's coming. Everyone sit down. If you don't care, there's going to be a bit of dinner theatre. Check this night. I made it from some off cheese.
I'm
This
guessing
priest.
cheese is not an actual one.
No.
But
This
some-
priest, also a candle.
I've read about some of the banquets at royal courts just going on for hours and hours. So presumably this was also
Yeah,
food as a
they
form
played
of
with their food.
entertainment.
I feel like that, like, we're definitely going back to the sort of conspicuous consumption, annoying the peasants kind of stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you were a servant in this place and we're just like, oh, well, bring out the sugar castle.
Mhm.
One single piece of this is sweeter than anything you're going to taste in your entire life.
Yep. Based.
I mean, do you think people were sort of discussing the personal habits of the royal family in the way they do now? Like when you're reading the papers, like,
Oh, we know.
oh, look at what Harry and Meghan did next. Like, oh, have you heard about Richard II and his gigantic sugar
We
sculptures?
know
Is
that
this what
people
our
were
taxes are
gossiping
going
about the
to?
royal family at this point. We have the receipts,
Mm.
by which I mean letters and journals. Mostly letters at this period, but I
Excellent.
think there's a couple of journals.
What I do like is, yeah, how you get several things for like pies and pottages, which
Pottage is basically a thick, like thick oaty stew, right?
Yeah.
Like a savory.
that's what you think of when you think of medieval food is like pies and stews,
Mm.
and then like big thing of meat, whole pig or something. So you get that, but then you get some very like some pheasants and partridges.
You need to speak louder towards the microphone.
I'm speaking really loudly.
Maybe not. You keep going really quiet.
Oh wait, I'm inside my own head. That's why I think it's loud. So you end up with towards the end of it, you get things that sound really disgusting, but partly because of the language. Crustards of fish.
Crusted.
What's a crusted? Oh, that sounds like what happens to a custard after you leave it for a few days in the back
like a
of the
salmon on
fridge.
croûte, but then you just sort of leave it out for a couple of weeks and it turns into crusted.
Yeah.
Oh.
Turns out it is like a pie, but it just sounds so bad.
So it's like it's been crusted. It is a crusted.
Yes. You could maybe have some Lombard mustard alongside your fish crusted.
I mean, the thing is, now that I know it's just a fishy pie with some mustard, like I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, like that sounds fine. I'd eat that.
I want to serve one of those at a dinner party. Like, are you ready, everyone? We're having crusted.
I want to announce it at a banquet though. It's like, bring out the crusted.
With trumpets.
Oh,
May I now present the crusted?
Do you think you'd have a decorative crusted with like fancy pastry shapes?
maybe you would.
Oh, yeah, there would be many
I'm really
crusteds.
curious who the Heston Blumenthal of crustards would be. A nice foamy crusted to start your day off.
That makes me uncomfortable in a way I cannot
I mean, he
describe.
did that series.
I treat you
Man,
to
that is a
some
word that you
chewets
feel.
on Flesh Day at this trying time.
Excuse me?
Chewets on Flesh Day.
I mean, I do enjoy chewit.
Yeah.
Are they like the strawberry ones? Or like the green ones that no one eats, but they're my favourite?
I feel like this is a different chewet. not the delicious
Let
chewy
me
sweets that
dream.
we all remember from our
Well,
childhood.
I can't too easily work out what's being said here. But it does seem from this description that they like to move it.
Well, that was a reference to an advert that stopped playing about 10, 15 years ago.
Yep, it was.
I'm
The
just
best pop
wondering
culture
if the
references
flesh
on this
day is like a
podcast.
Catholic thing. There's so many days when you're not allowed to eat like just normal meat. If flesh day is, you can eat this on the meaty days.
Yeah, is there a lot of fish recipes? Because if I remember rightly,
Yeah, they
fish
had some
wasn't
fun ways to
considered
get
a meat.
around that. Like there was this one monastery in France that decided fetal rabbits counted because they're in water. I think a lot of people did.
Oh, no,
It's like
that's not
beavers is more
water.
legit than fetal rabbits, but neither is a fish.
Hmm. And neither is something you'd particularly want to
You
eat.
say that beaver glands were used as artificial vanilla flavoring for a very long time.
I'm very curious what they would have made of the clams.
Crusted.
Beaver crusted.
I mean, a platypus would count as a fish if a beaver does. So you can make a nice fish crusted out of a platypus.
He's good.
Isn't it?
One of us has to make a crusted now, in the interests of entertainment.
I mean, Nick does make a very good short crust.
Here's my one skill.
I nominate Nick.
Next time we get a food shopping, we'll have to get some sort of fish and crusted it.
Maybe next time I will crusted a fish.
Is there any particular way the recipes are arranged? Is it like the modern kind of 3 courses that we would eat, or is it just all
The things
all
they
in
didn't have the
together?
concept of serving food in courses with them, did they? It was just
No,
kind
it
of
didn't.
put the best stuff by the posh people and everyone grabs stuff.
Yeah, basically it's just like going to a buffet with a strict caste system.
Like sweet
Yeah.
and
So no
savoury at the
chocolate
same
fountain.
time?
Broken.
Chocolate fountain's always broken.
Oh.
Yeah. I found out a fun fact about modern recreations.
Oh, go on.
So the cafe at the John Rylands, you mentioned the cafe is very good, by the way.
They do the best scones in Manchester, I swear.
Yeah, and one thing that was nice on a cold winter's day, they'd always have some kind of stew. There'd just be a stew of the day. You have some crusty bread.
Very medieval.
Yeah, it's great. In 2009, they cooked tart in Yimba Day, compast, pain puff, frumenty, and gingerbread, accompanied by piment or spiced wine.
I mean, the last two of them,
Ooh.
gingerbread and spiced wine. That's the Christmas market.
It is, yeah.
What's a
I would be
frumenty?
scared of eating a lot of the other stuff. I'm going to find out what frumenty is. Okay, a porridge.
It sounds like someone's very posh maiden aunt. Auntie who lives in the
Frumenty.
country and rides horses.
Oh, frumenty could often be served with porpoise. So
But what is it?
yeah, I said it's a porridge.
Okay, porpoise porridge.
Yeah, correct. Wheat boiled with milk or broth. And if you wanted to get fancy about it, you could put in some currants and almonds and saffron. So that'd be fancy as anything.
Yeah.
actually doesn't sound too bad, but I would skip
Maybe
the
have some
porpoise.
curlew instead.
I'd have porpoise once. I would
I've had
have.
porpoise. Oh,
My
no, I mean I'd try it, but there wasn't any
They would
porpoise
have
in
it,
Lidl
though.
last time I was there.
I feel like would
If there was going to be a shop that would have it, it would be in like the random aisle.
It's
in
not a
Lidl.
meat to mess around with, though. You've got to be purposeful.
have it. That is one of mine.
Well, you're being a smart one on this, so I have to do it.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
playing against type.
So, at the risk of just going on forever, I feel like we should maybe call it there.
Yeah.
There's so much more I want to know about
That's fine.
medieval
This is just
food.
one of the cookbooks. There's definitely going to be more.
Mm. So, we hope you
Excellent.
enjoyed today's episode. If you want to suggest an episode or a strange local food for us to talk about, you can email us at breadandthreadpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also tweet at us
And
at
if you
Bread
want to
and
support
Thread
us, we
on
do have
Twitter.
a Patreon. You can donate at £1, £5, and £10 dollar insert currency here amounts and get access to the Bread and Thread Discord server, to recipes and instructional videos. First one of which I believe has just gone up.
It's how to make your own drop spindle using things that you have around
So
your
you can
house.
find that at patreon.com/breadandthread. And we will see you next time.